Hello, welcome. My name is Nicola. This is an all levels yoga practice. We'll begin with our centering. So just find a comfortable seat. Keep your spine nice and tall. Just begin to focus on your breathing. So just allow your belly to soften and expand as you inhale. And as you exhale, just draw belly button towards spine, using those abdominal muscles to help fully exhale. Slowing down the breathing, activating that parasympathetic nervous system. Encourages to rest, relax, takes us out of the fight or flight. As you begin to relax and deepen your breathing, just mentally scan your body from head to toe, checking in with yourself. Just see how you feel as we embark upon this yoga practice. And just note any areas where you may be experiencing extra tension, an injury or a limitation. And just be prepared to modify as needed, listening to your own body throughout the practice. Backing off if you feel discomfort or if you begin to breathe rapidly. You should always be able to breathe slowly and evenly throughout the practice. So you can use that as a guide. And perhaps setting an intention for yourself for today's practice. A single word or a short phrase, something personal to you. Maybe something you hope to achieve through the practice of yoga today. Or maybe something you aspire to in your life in the near future. And once you pick that word or phrase, just repeat it to yourself 3 times to seal it in. And just continue with a few more of these slow, deep, full breaths. So just take one more of these deep, slow breaths. Make sure you complete that exhale. And then allow your breathing to be natural without too much thought. If your eyes were closed, you can gently open them. And we'll be beginning by moving on to the back this morning, this afternoon, whenever it is you're practicing. So just make sure there's a little mat behind you and slowly roll back. Just keep your knees bent, feet flat on the mat. Let's take a few breaths here. And then bring your arms out to shoulder height. And keeping your ankles and your knees together, just allow your knees to fall over to one side. Just coming into a twist. Try to keep both shoulders connected to the mat.
He makes the boat far and sings in sweet and undertone the song of hearts.
And then slowly draw your knees back to the center. Just making sure your ankles and knees stay together. Lower your knees over to the opposite side. Again, keeping arms out at shoulder height, both shoulders connected to the floor. And slowly rolling onto your back, just draw your knees in and hug them to your chest, maybe tucking your chin, lengthening the back of the neck. And then bringing your hands to kneecaps. Go ahead and begin some circles here by rotating both knees in one direction. And then at some point just pause and take those circles in the opposite direction. And then once more, just hug your knees to your chest. Take a breath here. And then as you release the knees, extend your legs straight up. And just begin to flex and point your feet. And then maybe circle the ankles. And then pausing here, grab hold of one leg and begin to lower the opposite leg until your heel is about 1 inch or 2 off the mat. And just hover that leg there and just begin to pull your other leg towards your chest. If hamstrings are tight, your leg may be bent, and that's okay. If you want to add a little bit more core challenge on your next exhale, just draw head, neck and shoulders off the mat, bringing nose toward knee. Draw belly button towards spine. And then slowly lowering head and neck down. Bring both legs back up. And then switch, grab hold of your opposite leg. And let the other leg just approach the ground, maybe hovering that heel 1 inch or 2 for a little core work. And then if you want to add more, bringing head and shoulders off the mat, bringing nose toward knee. Drawing your leg a little closer to your chest. And then slowly lowering head and shoulders down. Bring both legs up once more, so you return to that hip stand or legs against the wall pose. And from here we'll move into blissful or happy baby. So just begin to bend your knees. And if you can, grab the insteps of your feet. Otherwise, hold on to your shins. Or just rest forearms on the back of thighs and interlace your fingers. Make sure you bring your tailbone back down to the mat. And one option is to just hold here, or you can begin to rock from side to side. If you are rocking, it's super important that you have a flat back and your tailbone is down on the ground. And then pausing here, we'll just extend the legs, coming into a V or a split with the legs, or a straddle. Feeling the stretch in the inner thighs. If your feet are flexed, you'll feel a stretch in the calf muscles as well. Again, your tailbone should be down on the mat. So you're grabbing anywhere along your legs that allows that tailbone to reach the floor. And then once more, returning to happy baby, bending your knees. And then just let go of your left leg and bring it down so your feet is flat on the mat. Cross your right leg over so your right ankle is just below the left knee. Connect low back to mat. And use that right hand to push your right knee away. If you want a little more, bring your left foot off the mat and draw this left knee in whilst trying to push the right knee away. You'll feel a pretty good bullseye of sensation in your right hip. And just send your breath to that bullseye of sensation. If it's too much sensation, just go ahead and lower that left foot back to the mat. So just come to a position where you feel a good stretch, but you're comfortable and you can breathe easily. And then gently lower your left leg. Bring your right foot to the ground. And then cross your left ankle just below the right knee. Low back is connected to the floor. And you're pushing left knee away. Choose if you want to stay here, or if you want to pick up that right foot, drawing the right knee in, feeling that bullseye of sensation now in the left hip. And slowly release that right foot down, bring your left foot down. And just take a moment here to allow the knees to fall gently from side to side. And then just pausing here, we'll be coming to a seat. So you can either gather your knees in and kind of rock back and forth, gain some momentum to come up to a seat. Or you can just slowly roll onto one side, use your opposite hand to kind of push you up. And then finding a seat on your mat, we'll be coming into bound angle or butterfly pose. So you'll draw your feet in and allow your knees to fall out to the side. Try to keep your back nice and straight. If it's okay with you, you can begin to round the spine, bringing nose toward knee. I will be staying with a nice straight spine. We'll just take a few breaths here. Slowly releasing the posture, just push your feet forward towards the front of your mat. And again, just come forward so you can nestle onto those sit bones. And begin to come forward again, keeping a nice flat back. And then choosing to pause here with a straight spine, or you can round the spine. Again, bringing nose a little closer to the floor. One more option is to take your forearms and thread them underneath your shins. Perhaps even bringing your hands together on top of the insteps of your feet. So you pick. You can be anywhere along the journey here. We'll stay here for about 3 or 4 more breaths. And then gradually releasing the posture, coming to a nice tall spine, taking hands behind you. And just draw shoulder blades together, opening up the chest and creating a slight bend in the thoracic spine. Breathing into this open chest area and choosing to keep your gaze straight ahead or looking up if that's okay in the neck. Slowly releasing the shoulders. Just come to a comfortable cross-legged position. And we'll do our cat dog in a seated position this week. So on an inhale, belly moves forward. Chin tips up, tailbone pushes back. And then as you round the back and exhale, you're going to tuck in your chin and tailbone. Let the shoulders kind of come forward. So inhaling, finding that dog tilt to the pelvis, looking up. Exhale, rounding the back like a cat and tucking everything in. Just continue to move back and forth with your own breath. Just taking one more breath, we'll pause with a rounded back in that cat stretch. Interlace your fingers and reach your arms forward. You can choose to press knuckles forward or invert your hands and push your palms to the front. Drawing belly button in. And then on your next inhale, coming up nice and tall. Exhale, lower left arm down. And lean over to the left, coming into a side stretch. Expanding the ribs on that right side as you inhale. On your next inhale, reaching up tall. Exhale, lean over to the right. Really opening the rib cage, separating those ribs on the left side as you inhale. And then reaching up nice and tall, inhaling here. Exhale, finding a twist to your left side. Keeping the spine nice and tall. Try to get a little taller as you inhale. Twist a fraction more with each exhale.
I'm doing good, I'm on some new. Been saying yes instead of no. I thought I saw you at the bus stop, I didn't though.
On your next inhale, reaching up tall. Twisting to the right side. Really take your time as we hold to try then work yourself just a little deeper into your twist.
And if you wanted me, you really should have showed. And if you never bleed, you're never gonna grow. And it's alright now. But we were something, don't you think so? Roaring 20s, tossing pennies in the pool. And if my wishes came true, it would have been you.
And gradually releasing that twist. Making our way onto hands and knees. And then just slowly sinking the hips back. Making your way into either child's pose by sinking the hips all the way back. And bringing forehead down to the mat. Or if you prefer to stretch the shoulders out a little bit, you can take your hands a little further forward. Sink your hips back, but not all the way. And then allow forehead to come down, expanding the chest and feeling a stretch between the shoulders for melting heart or puppy.
You know the greatest loves of all time are over now. I guess you never know, never know. And it's another day waking up alone. But we were something, don't you think so? Roaring 20s, tossing pennies in the pool. And if my wishes came true, it would have been you. In my defense, I have none.
So be here for about 2 more breaths.
Even when I'm not alone. But it would have been fun if you would have been the one.
And then just begin to transition back to your hands and knees. Just making sure that hands are either directly below your shoulders or a little further forward. Hook your toes, preparing for downward facing dog. And we'll begin to lift up the hips, pushing into the hands so your chest moves back to your thighs and pushing your heels towards the mat. And weight should be fairly evenly distributed between hands and feet here. Again, if knees need to be bent, either a little or a lot, in order to keep the spine straight, then just take what you need. So you can choose to hold this downward dog, or perhaps come up onto the toes, alternately dropping one heel down the other, walking out your dog. Now one more option which I will lead is a 3-legged dog to a hip opener. So if you're choosing that option, just take your right foot and step it towards the middle of your mat and extend your left leg behind you. Trying to maintain hips level, pushing through the heel, drawing belly button up and in. And then from here, bend that extended leg and then begin to stack your hips. So the left will be on top of the right and you're looking out towards the left side of the room. And then slowly leveling off your hips, extend your leg, push through the heel. And then slowly lower, placing left foot towards the center. And extending your right leg out and back. Initially, hips are level, drawing belly button in, pushing into that heel, and then bending that leg so heel comes toward glutes, and then stacking your hips and looking out towards the right side of the room. And then leveling off your hips, push through the heel once more, then slowly lower that leg. Maybe take a breath or two to walk out your dog here. And then slowly begin to walk your feet forward till you land in a forward fold. Again, typically you would round the spine, bringing nose toward knee. I'll be keeping a flat back. Both are great options, just listening to your body. Do what's right for you. If you are rounding the spine, you can maybe grasp opposite elbows and sway side to side or back and forth in a ragdoll. Just allowing head and neck to hang loose. As a reminder, bend your knees as much as you need to avoid discomfort in the hamstrings and low back. So if you are in ragdoll, just come to stillness, take a breath. And then we'll work our way into jackknife, so taking hands to shins or thighs. Just come about halfway up till your torso is parallel with the mat. Draw shoulder blades back to pull shoulders away from ears. Most of the weight should be in your heels. And then softening your knees on your next inhale. Reach the arms out and up. And bring hands to heart. And just pause here, noting what it feels like to be standing. So we'll be coming into a squat next. You have two options here. You can stay in a high squat or come a little deeper. If you're staying in the high squat, you'll want to step your legs a little wider apart and then just begin to bend your knees, keeping hands on your thighs. Or maybe you can bring elbows down, up to you. And then maybe just kind of rock side to side, adding a little mobility to the squat, or perhaps coming into some shoulder dips. If you would like to challenge the hips a little bit and come into a deeper squat, you'll take the feet a little closer together and come down into the squat. You'll want to keep your heels down. Push your elbows against the inside of your thighs, just above the knee, keeping a straight spine. So if you tried the low squat and it's not for you, just go back to that higher squat. We'll try to stay here for 3 or 4 more breaths. And then gradually coming back up to standing. We'll be adding a little balance right now, but you may be happy to know we'll be keeping both feet on the ground. So step one foot in front of the other as if you're standing on a tightrope or a balance beam. And then kind of rock back and forth a little bit till your weight is fairly evenly distributed and you feel fairly stable. Bringing arms up to shoulder height and find a focal point in the distance ahead of you. So you may find this challenging or not. If you don't find it too challenging and you want a little more, you will slowly begin to close your eyes. Don't forget, if you feel wobbly, just open your eyes. No big deal. If you are closing your eyes, try to visualize that focal point in the distance. Even though your eyes are closed, it will help you balance. Just play around with it. And if your eyes were closed, open them. Lower your hands. Maybe just give your legs a quick shake, and then we'll just switch so that you put the opposite foot in front. So you kind of heel to toe. And once more. And move back and forth a little bit. Find that most stable position. Draw belly button in, arms to shoulder height, and just look straight ahead. And if you are going to challenge your balance by closing your eyes, keep visualizing that focal point. You may find that one side is easier than the other. That's pretty normal. And then open your eyes, arms come down, give your legs a shake. And we'll start our series of standing postures. So come towards the front of your mat, soften your knees and step your right foot back, setting your heel down, coming into warrior one. So just making sure that your knee is stacked pretty much above your ankle. And as with all these standing postures, anything goes with the arms. Pretty much hands can remain on your hips, out at shoulder height, goalpost arms. You can reach up, you can do steeple toes, or you can find the bind and add a little back bend. So you decide, whatever comes up will be just the right thing. And from here, releasing your back heel, sink down, coming into a high lunge or crescent lunge. So we'll be coming into a balance from here, which will be warrior three. So you're going to kind of push off your back foot and bring your weight into your front foot. Keep hands on hips initially, and just lift that back toe off the ground. So this is also considered warrior three. It is a balance. So you can stay exactly like this. I'm just going to move back a little bit here. If you want more, you can begin to tip at the hip, trying to maintain both hips level with the mat. So slightly soften your standing leg and begin to tip forward a little or a lot. Don't go further than parallel with the floor. Arms can come out to shoulder height. You can reach them forward. They can come to prayer pose. So you decide. If you're wobbling, that's normal. If you're coming in and out of the posture, that's also fine. Balance is always a work in progress. Just take one more breath and then slowly lower that back foot, coming back briefly to a crescent lunge. And then simply turn till your hips face the right side. Set your back heel down. So your back toes are facing the right side, your front toes are facing front, arms at shoulder height. We're in warrior two. And then slowly flip your front palm, lower your back arm, straighten your front knee. And then begin to reach this front arm up. Stretch those fingertips wide and reach them up towards the ceiling. For reverse triangle. Then keeping your legs as they are, just bring your arms back to shoulder height. You might want to narrow your stance a little bit. That's just personal preference. And then begin to lean forward like you're trying to reach across a countertop. Once you can't reach anymore, windmill the arms, coming into triangle. Again, front knee can be soft. You can be reaching straight down with this front hand, or you can support yourself with your hand on your shin. Gaze can be up at the ceiling, out in front of you, or down towards your foot. And from here, just begin to bring yourself back up till your arms are parallel to the floor. Once more, sink into that front foot, finding warrior two. And then take a moment to walk this foot a little bit behind you. And we'll be coming back to that crescent lunge. So pivoting on your back foot. Back heel is released. And you're back in a lunge. You choose the arm position. We'll take a couple of breaths here. And then slowly lower your arms down. You might have to sink the hips a little lower till you can get your hands down, and we'll step back to downward facing dog. And Feel free to hold this posture or walk out your dog. And if you're not already, eventually coming to stillness. Softening your knees. Step your right foot forward. Set your left heel down. Maybe come up by supporting yourself on your front thigh. And then reaching up. Finding steeple pose or whatever works with your arms. Coming into our warrior one. Back leg is strong, your glute muscles are engaged, sending energy out of that back foot, drawing belly button in, reaching up through the fingers if your arms are extended, releasing your back heel, sinking down into crescent lunge. And feel free to take a different arm position or hold the same one. Listening to your body, doing what feels natural, what your body's asking for, and preparing for that warrior three. So bringing the weight into the front foot and lifting your back toe an inch off the floor. Soften the knee of the standing leg and think about keeping your hips level, and then decide if you want to tip forward. And then slowly coming back briefly to that crescent lunge. Then setting your back heel down, maybe shifting your feet a little bit. Turning hips over towards the left side. Looking out over those right fingertips. Finding warrior two. Perhaps sinking a little deeper. Challenging the legs. And then flipping your front palm, lowering your back arm, straighten your front leg, and reach up for that reverse triangle. And then bringing arms back to parallel. Begin to lean forward, reaching, reaching, reaching. And then windmilling your arms, finding your version of triangle. Remembering to keep this top shoulder open and back. Avoid collapsing forward. Take one more breath here. And then on your next inhale, make your way back upright. Sinking into that front knee. And then walking this front foot a little behind you. Pivoting, releasing the back heel. And sinking once more into that crescent lunge. On your next exhale, begin to lower your hands down, briefly coming through a runner's lunge, and then stepping back once more to downward facing dog. And just note whatever comes up for the next 3 or 4 breaths. step your right foot towards the center of the mat. And extend your left leg up, keeping hips level. Coming into three-legged dog. Take an inhale breath. And as you exhale, just come forward here. Bringing knee towards nose, hovering. And then slowly set that foot down. The shin down, so your knee is just inside your left hand. Extend your right leg back. And coming up here. Pushing that chest forward, coming into proud pigeon. If you can, you should be able to lift up your hands. And if you can do that, maybe finding the bind. Finding a little bit of a back bend. If you're really relying on your hands to hold you up at this point, just leave them down on the mat. No big deal. Should be feeling a good stretch in the hip flexor, the psoas muscle. On your right leg, the leg that's extended behind you. And then if they're not there already, bringing your hands down, just begin to fold forward to your own degree. Maybe you only come an inch forward. Perhaps you make it down onto the elbows, or maybe you can stretch all the way out. Again, try to keep hips level. Feeling now a good stretch in this left hip. Just like we did with the figure 4 stretch we did earlier on our back, you feel a bullseye of sensation in that hip. This is a little bit more of an intense stretch. If by chance you have super flexible hips and you're not feeling much of a stretch, you can take this left foot, push it away from you, eventually bringing your shin parallel to the front edge of the mat. For me, that'll be in my next lifetime. But all depends on your own flexibility. Everybody's body is different. So just get to the point where you feel a good stretch in this hip. Take one more breath here. And then begin to make your way upright back to that proud pigeon. And making sure you've got your weight in both hands. Hook your back toes. And make your way back to that downward dog. Just taking a moment to stretch out your legs here. And then bringing your left leg to the center of the mat. Extend your right leg up, keeping hips level. Inhale here. Exhale, draw knee to nose. Challenge the core a little bit by hovering. And then set your shin down. Knee to the inside of that right hand. Left leg extended back. Once more, we'll take a couple of breaths in this proud pigeon. Option to add the arm bind. Note the word option. If you're struggling to get it, don't bother. It's not mandatory. If it doesn't work in your body, it doesn't work. And then slowly coming down to pigeon pose, feeling that bullseye of sensation in your right hip. Sending your breath there, doing what you can to make this pose comfortable. Taking one more breath here. And then gradually making your way upright. Once more into that proud pigeon. Take a breath here. And then bringing hands down, hook your back toes. Finding downward dog. And pausing for a couple of breaths here. And then slowly making your way onto hands and knees. And then lowering down till you're on your front on the mat. Stack your arms, bring your forehead down. And just make sure that your legs are directly behind you. Bend your left leg. And then take your left arm. Try to grab your ankle. You can grab your foot, you can grab your yoga pants. And just take a moment to kind of pull that ankle in towards you. You can choose to keep this right hand underneath your forehead or extend it forward. We'll be coming into half bow. So take an inhale breath, and as you exhale, just begin to push that ankle away. Pulling your chest, head, shoulders off the mat. Finding an arch to the upper back. Slowly lower down and extend that leg long. Bring your left arm out in front of you, either bent at the elbow with your forehead resting on your hand, or extend the arm forward, forehead is on the ground. Bend your right leg, flex your foot, and then try to grab hold of your ankle, your yoga pants, whatever works. Just take a moment here, feeling the stretch in the quadricep muscle. Take an inhale breath. As you exhale, just begin to push that foot away, drawing head and shoulders and chest off the mat. Coming into this half bow. Take one more breath, and then as you exhale, just slowly lower down. Extend your legs long. And bend your arms, stacking your hands and just resting head on the back of your hands. And then keeping your right leg where it is, just bend your left leg and bring it out to the side, keeping the whole leg in contact with the floor. You can, ideally, you're making right angles at the hip and the knee. But if that's not comfortable, feel free to shift your leg up or down as needed till you find a comfortable position. Coming into half frog and just resting here. Taking some deep, slow breaths. And just extending that leg long. And just drawing the other leg out to the side, coming into half frog. And then slowly extending that leg back behind you. into a back bend of choice here. If you want, you can try a low cobra. So you would just lift head, chest, and shoulders off the mat. Maybe hovering your palms above the mat. Or you can come into Sphinx by coming onto the forearms. Engaging glutes, pushing tailbone forward into the mat, and then pulling back on your arms without letting them move, pulling the chest forward. If you would like a little bit more, lower down, place your hands just underneath your shoulders, and then begin to extend your arms, coming into a high cobra. So you pick. We'll try to stay here for 5 or 6 breaths. So you can feel free to try one and then go into another one. See what works best for you. Take one more breath. And then slowly begin to lower down. And if they're not there already, bring your hands just under your shoulders. And then push up onto the knees. And then come back once more into child's pose. Or if you prefer, you can come into puppy stretch. And then gradually making your way up, maybe taking a seat on your heels. And then we'll find a seat somewhere in the center of our mat. And extend your legs out in front of you. We'll be coming into a spinal twist here. So keep your right leg extended. Draw that left leg in. You can choose to keep the leg to the inside or cross it over to the outside of your right leg. Take an inhale breath, sit nice and tall. And as you exhale, begin to twist from the waist up, twisting towards the left side. You can hug your left leg. Let's take your right arm to the outside of that leg and find your twist. Keeping the legs as they are, just gradually twist the other body, upper body, the upper body to the opposite side, like a tongue twister. Sitting nice and tall on an inhale, keeping this front foot flexed, twisting a little more with each exhale. And then releasing the twist, extend your left leg forward, draw the right leg in, choose where you want to place that foot, and find that twist, twisting your upper body to the right side. Using this left arm to help you work into the twist, keeping the spine nice and straight, front foot is flexed. Taking an inhale breath as you exhale, counter twist your upper body. And then slowly releasing the twist. Just grabbing hold of the back of your thighs here, roll down. And once more, just draw your feet in, arms to shoulder height. And just like we did at the beginning, keeping knees and ankles together, just allow those knees to fall over to the left side. We'll stay here for about 2 more breaths. And then bringing the knees to center, keeping knees and ankles together. Just drop your legs, your knees to the opposite side. And then once more, just rolling onto the back. You can choose to keep your feet flat on the floor, knees bent, to give some support to the low back. Or you can extend the legs long, bring arms by your side, and just allow arms and legs to roll out to the side, coming into Shavasana. Just again, quickly scan the body from head to toe. Note any areas where you may be holding onto some tension. And just try to release, relax, let it go. Slowing the breathing. And then taking an inhale breath. As you exhale, just sink fully into the support of the floor beneath you. Limbs are heavy, bones are heavy, muscles are soft and relaxed. Just focus on your own soft breathing. Or perhaps return to that intention that you set for yourself at the beginning of the practice. And we'll just take the next few minutes to fully relax and let go, seal in our practice. Begin to make some small movements, bringing your attention back to the present moment, perhaps rotating wrists and ankles or wiggling fingers and toes, maybe taking an overhead stretch or a yawn. Perhaps gathering in your knees, rocking gently from side to side. And perhaps rolling over onto one side and just taking a few breaths there. And then whenever you're ready, just slowly transition to a seated position. And just sit with eyes closed or gaze soft. Just noting how you feel. Now we've come to the end of our practice. Being grateful to yourself for taking this time out to practice yoga. Listening to your body, tuning in, finding exactly what you need. Hopefully feeling better in this moment than when we began the practice. And just taking an inhale breath, reaching the arms out and up, bringing palms together and drawing hands slowly to heart center. Thank you for choosing to practice with me today. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.